G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we are going to learn how to make a really plain and one coloured hat look awesome by adding slip stitches. You are not going to believe how easy this is. As you can see, you can add the slip stitches wherever you like. There are two different methods, both using the slip stitch, but just depending on where you put it in the hat. See, even Mrs. Foamy is nodding. So, let's get started on the lesson. The slip stitches will work on any type of hat, as long as it is worked in the round, which means it has to be joined at the end with the slip stitch. It will work on the continuous spiral hat, but you won't be able to make rows like you have here. You will have a continuous spiral slip stitch instead. So grab your favourite hat pattern. I will put links to hat videos in the description box below the video if you don't know how to make a hat. But if you do, go ahead and make your favourite pattern, and then we're going to add some awesome slip stitches to it. We will need some yarn, preferably the yarn that you used for your hat, a pair of scissors, a crochet hook. I used a 4mm crochet hook for my hat, but I'm going to use a bigger one so that my slip stitches aren't really tight. Now you can use the one that you used for your hat, but you just want to make sure you don't do them too tight. This crochet hook was given to me by my friend Cassie from Cassie is Crafty. It's a really nice hook, and that is so beautiful and smooth. And we will need a yarn needle with a big eye. So on these other two hats, I'm going to be using this one for the tutorial. On these two hats, when we work the hat and the slip stitch, it's easier to work your hat upside down. So this one, I worked into the stitch. So that means when we put our hook, we go into the stitch like that. Going into those bits there where those loops are. When I worked this round here, I actually went just in between the stitches like that. So that's how I got those ones to be close together. And on the green striped, and it's like a beigey wheat coffee colour, what I did was went every 2 rows. So I skipped that row, went there, skipped that row, went there, and as I went down to the bottom, I added 1 row just closer together. So there's so many different ways that you can set it up. 2 different ones, and then we're going to have the pink one. So for the pink one, I'm just going to add probably a couple of rows around here. Now this would look really good. You could put a flower, if it's for a girl, you could put a flower here, or some sort of applique for a boy, and then you could make the stitching sort of halfway up. That would look cool too. So there's lots of variations that we can use, and this doesn't, depending on how many stripes you want to do, doesn't take much yarn at all. I'm just trying to find the end of my yarn. So it's a lot easier than what you think it is. So I'm going to, I'll do that row and then in between to show you the difference. So you're grabbing your hook, we're on the outside of the hat, we're just going to go into one of the stitches. So where we've worked our stitches into, so if it was up the right way, we're going into those stitches there. You can work the hat whichever way up you like, but I don't know why, but I just found it easier when my hat was up the wrong way. So going anywhere you like, you can start wherever you like. Going to go into that one and come out here. Grab your yarn, we're just laying it over the hook like that, I'm just grabbing that, pulling through. This bit will get sewn in, so chain 1 and then pull down on this short piece, and that will just secure that into, see how that disappeared? Secure that into there. So we do this all the way around. So what we do is we go into the stitch, come up behind into the next stitch, grab our yarn and work a slip stitch. So see where our yarn's coming out of, going into the next one, grabbing our yarn, pulling through and pulling through. Don't work this too tight because you want your hat to have some give. The first one I did, I'll show you, the very first one I did was actually this hat here. And I worked that a little tight. I don't know if you can tell by the video. But I thought that, see how it's starting to pucker a little bit. I thought I worked that one too tight. So as I went down, it actually got looser and looser. So now, when you go like that, you've actually got some give. So if it's for a little child, they can grow into it. It's not going to be super tight. So we don't go into the one where the stitch is coming out of. We go into the next one. And work a slip stitch. See how that's pulled that in? That pulled that in like that. We don't want that to happen. We want it to lay flat. So going along. I found this really easy to lay the hat on my lap and work it like that. Okay, so that gives you the big slip stitches around. Another way you can work it is go into the stitch where the yarn is coming out, so go into there. This will give you smaller slip stitches. So go into the same, see how the yarn's coming out of that stitch, go into there. So it's up to you. If you want the bigger slip stitches, you skip the one where it's coming out of and go into the next. If you want the smaller ones, make sure you put your hook into the stitch where the yarn is coming out. And see how I'm not pulling tight? I don't know if you can actually tell on camera, but I haven't got much tension. The yarn's flowing quite freely. Oops. And as you go along, just pay attention to how your slip stitches look. If they're really super tight, just pull them back out. If they're really loose, then do the same thing. Like I said, it will take a couple of rows of practice. But it's that easy that you can pull it out and start again. So, and then we continue around until we get back to here, and I'll show you what we do. So we're coming to the end, and that's I've actually got one stitch there. I'll pull that out so you can see. So we're going into where the yarn's coming out. Into where the yarn is coming out there, so we don't need to go in there. And the next one, we're going to go under the stitch, so we're going under the slip stitch and then work a slip stitch. I'm going to cut our yarn, and this time normally I do a chain 1 and pull out, but we're going to pull out first. Because I found that when I did my chain 1, it looked funny. Then, if you have a needle or a crochet hook, we're going to come up between first chain stitch we did there, or slip stitch, sorry, and then pull our yarn back through the centre of it, because we want to make sure that it looks like a slip stitch all the way around and that we can't see it. And that bit there, that was our starting yarn, just pull that through. We want to make that look like it's continuous. Then you're going to sew in your ends. You can just slightly tell where it is, but it looks a lot better than the chain one and then pull out. Seriously, once it's on your head you won't even notice it. You could put a flower there if you don't like that little tiny bit there. And that blue bit of yarn will disappear when you sew your ends in. So what you want to do before you sew your ends in, give it a little tug like that. Make sure you haven't done them so tight that the hat won't stretch at all. So we've got that one. And now I'll show you how to do it in between the stitches. It's just as easy. So you go, you've got your you've got your stitches here, right? So you just pull them apart slightly. You know the gap that's between the stitches? That's where we're going to go. So we're going to go into there, around the back of the stitch, put the yarn on, pull it through, chain one, just pull to secure. I'm just going to poke that through out of the way. And now we go behind each stitch and then work a slip stitch. That's it. That's all we do. Making sure again that we're not working it too tight. Come around and we'll slip stitch to finish. So I have one more stitch to go. And then we're going to slip stitch to finish off. Cutting our yarn and just pulling out, remember? And that will go loose there, but once we put our hook through the next stitch, pull that through, and sewing our ends, that's not going to be loose. And that's pretty much it. We'll need to just fix that a little bit there. We can make it lay flat. And sew in your ends, of course. It even looks cool on the inside, doesn't it? You could maybe slip stitch on the inside if you wanted to get that effect on the outside. Looking good. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed that. A really simple way. You may need to just squash that down a little bit there if we've got some whips. And there we go, if we just pull it up a little bit. That works. I think that's because I've just worked my yarn a little bit too loose. So that's how we fix that problem. Anyway, looks good. Got another one there. Sometimes I can be a bit of a perfectionist. Only sometimes. Not all the time. Look at it, looks like we've got 3 tracks on that one. So that's a different way of doing it. That's cool. So that's where my ends are. That's really good. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe as there will be plenty more videos to come. Please share on our Facebook page if you are a member over there. If not, then why aren't you? Please join us on Facebook because we have a lot of fun and you get updates on what's coming up next, and you can stay in touch with me and lots of other people that love crochet. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, happy crochet.